defense circles suddenly slip into the open, where confidential pages speak truths that were never meant for public eyes, and where the might of superpowers is quietly shaken not by another giant, but by a nation once underestimated, now rewriting the rules of air warfare with its own hands. The leak of the report has been described as nothing short of a tremor in the world of defense and intelligence, because whenever something stamped with the words "classified" finds its way into public light, it is not just information but a revelation of hidden truths that were never meant to be exposed. The report in question concerns Pakistan's fighter jets, a subject that Western analysts have often spoken about with a mixture of curiosity and cautious dismissal, assuming that such programs could not possibly rival the technological mastery of Western giants. But this document, quietly compiled within the inner chambers of defense establishments, tells a very different story. It is not the usual open-source analysis or casual speculation that can be brushed aside with a shrug, but a meticulous breakdown of Pakistan's capabilities, strategies, and potential trajectories, compiled by experts who are not writing for the public but for policymakers who shape global security doctrines. What makes the leak explosive is not simply what is said, but the fact that it acknowledges something that had long been whispered, yet seldom admitted in official circles. Pakistan's Air Force is no longer a secondary concern, but a force that must be carefully monitored, studied, and prepared for. The language of the report is clinical, yet uneasy, as though the analysts themselves were unsettled by what they found, recognizing that the assumptions that once underpinned Western superiority are being challenged. A leaked document of this nature serves as both a mirror and a weapon, reflecting back to the West its vulnerabilities, while simultaneously giving Pakistan an unintentional acknowledgement of its growing prowess. For allies and adversaries alike, such a leak is not just a story about planes and pilots, but about a strategic shift in power that was never supposed to be written down, let alone seen by the world. Pakistan's unexpected advancement in fighter jet technology has emerged as one of the most striking revelations in the leaked report, precisely because it challenges the long-held narrative that only superpowers and wealthy nations could push the boundaries of aerial combat. For years, Western analysts often placed Pakistan in a secondary category, assuming its capabilities would remain tethered to outdated platforms and reliance on external suppliers. Yet, the advancement of indigenous programs, particularly the JF-17 Thunder project, paints an entirely different picture. What was once considered a modest collaboration has grown into a symbol of resilience, ingenuity, and strategic foresight. By investing in a platform that is both cost-effective and capable of incorporating modern avionics, radar systems, and weaponry, Pakistan has not only addressed its immediate defense needs, but also redefined the parameters of what a smaller nation can achieve in aerospace innovation. The report highlights the subtle yet significant ways in which Pakistan has maneuvered around the constraints of budgetary limits and international pressure, leveraging partnerships while maintaining a surprising degree of independence in key areas. Unlike the towering financial investments poured into Western jets such as the Eurofighter Typhoon or the F-35, Pakistan has pursued a strategy of efficiency, producing a fighter that can be upgraded in stages, customized to operational demands, and deployed with versatility in various combat scenarios. This adaptability means the JF-17 is not just a platform, but a statement of doctrine, that dominance is no longer measured by extravagance, but by how quickly a nation can adapt to new challenges. What makes this advancement even more unsettling for Western defense circles is the speed of progress. Within a relatively short span, Pakistan has moved from importing older generation jets to fielding an aircraft that can integrate modern electronic warfare systems, advanced missiles, and even stand toe-to-toe in simulated engagements with regional adversaries. The report makes it clear that Western experts underestimated not just the aircraft, but the vision behind it, failing to account for how determination and strategic partnerships could accelerate technological growth. This unexpected leap is not just about a machine in the sky. It signals a deeper reality that innovation is no longer the monopoly of traditional powers, and that Pakistan has stepped into a realm of competition where it was once considered an outsider. Strategic shifts in air warfare have always redefined the balance of power, and the report underscores how Pakistan is rewriting parts of that script in ways that Western defense planners did not anticipate. Traditionally, the assumption was that technological supremacy alone determined aerial dominance, with advanced jets, stealth capabilities, and enormous defense budgets guaranteeing victory in the skies. Yet what emerges from the report is an acknowledgement that Pakistan's Air Force is not only investing in technology, but is also reshaping the way it trains, strategizes, and fights. It is not merely about flying aircraft. It is about understanding the chessboard of modern warfare, where agility, coordination, and doctrine can at times outweigh raw technological superiority. The report outlines how Pakistan's approach has shifted from simply defending its skies to mastering tactics that blur the line between offense and defense. Exercises, training missions, and real-time combat experience, particularly in high-tension encounters, have honed a force that operates with speed and precision. Instead of relying solely on larger numbers or overwhelming firepower, Pakistan has focused on developing pilots who can adapt quickly, employ surprise, and maximize the strengths of their platforms. The use of network-centric warfare, integration of drones, and reliance on flexible mission planning has created a playbook that Western experts admit is difficult to predict and harder to counter. This adaptability represents a profound shift, a move away from conventional doctrine into a more fluid and dynamic model of air combat. Perhaps most telling is how these shifts are forcing Western analysts to rethink their own frameworks. The report reveals a subtle but unmistakable concern that the West may be preparing for the wrong kind of war. While they perfect stealth designs and invest billions in futuristic jets, Pakistan has been quietly developing a strategy that emphasizes unpredictability, coordination across multiple platforms, and leveraging cost-effective systems in ways that complicate any opponent's planning. The implication is stark. If air warfare is no longer simply about possessing the most advanced fighter, then the assumptions that underpin Western superiority are shaken. This strategic evolution by Pakistan is not just about survival. It is about shaping a doctrine that challenges even the most powerful militaries to reconsider how battles in the sky will be fought in the future. Geopolitical shockwaves are perhaps the most significant consequence of the revelations contained in the secret Western Defense Report, because military advancements never exist in isolation. They ripple outward, altering alliances, rivalries, and the very framework of regional security. The document acknowledges that Pakistan's growing aerial capabilities are not merely a technical achievement, but a shift with direct implications for South Asia's delicate balance of power. For decades, India has been viewed as the primary military heavyweight in the region, supported by its acquisition of advanced jets such as the Rafale and its close defense ties with both Western nations and Russia. The revelation that Pakistan's fighter jet program is advancing at a faster and more effective pace than expected unsettles this equation, forcing policymakers in New Delhi to reconsider their assumptions about air superiority and regional dominance. The shockwaves extend beyond the India-Pakistan dynamic. The report details how NATO and the United States, both of whom rely on regional partners to maintain stability, are now faced with a strategic puzzle. On one hand, Pakistan's advancements enhance its ability to operate independently and defend its interests without over-reliance on Western suppliers. On the other, this independence raises questions about how far Pakistan might lean into alternative alliances with powers like China, whose role in the JF-17 program has already proven critical. This possibility is viewed with unease in Western capitals, where policymakers recognize that the consolidation of such partnerships could realign the regional balance of influence away from the West and toward emerging rival blocs. Even more unsettling is the broader symbolic impact. Smaller nations across the globe are likely to view Pakistan's progress as a model for how to defy expectations and pursue defense strategies that maximize efficiency without succumbing to the overwhelming financial burden of Western-style programs. In essence, Pakistan becomes an example that innovation and strategic foresight can serve as an equalizer against wealthier adversaries. The report notes that this perception alone could embolden other countries to adopt similar models, disrupting traditional defense markets and challenging the narrative of Western dominance. These shockwaves are not limited to policy rooms. They reverberate through diplomatic channels, defense industries, and military alliances, creating a sense of urgency and unease that reveals just how profound the implications of Pakistan's fighter jet advancements truly are. Technology versus tactics is one of the central themes running through the leaked report, and it cuts to the heart of why Pakistan's air power is being taken so seriously by Western analysts. For decades, the West has operated under the belief that superior technology guarantees victory, and to a large extent, that assumption held true. Advanced jets like the F-35, the Eurofighter Typhoon, and the F-22 Raptor have been symbols of unassailable dominance in the skies. Yet the report highlights how Pakistan has disrupted this equation by demonstrating that tactics, strategy, and adaptability can often counterbalance the absence of the most cutting-edge hardware. The JF-17 Thunder is not an F-35, but when deployed with precision, flexibility, and a focus on cost-efficient upgrades, it becomes a formidable asset that forces even technologically superior opponents to think twice. The report details how Pakistan has adopted an approach that fuses modern technology with tactical ingenuity. Instead of striving for absolute parity with Western fifth-generation platforms, Pakistan has invested in systems that maximize efficiency and fit seamlessly into its doctrinal needs. Advanced radar systems, beyond visual range missiles, and electronic warfare capabilities are integrated into jets that are comparatively inexpensive to produce and maintain. This means that Pakistan can field larger numbers, rotate fleets effectively, and sustain long-term operations without the crippling financial strain that comes with maintaining elite Western platforms. From a tactical perspective, this shifts the conversation. An adversary may boast about possessing more advanced aircraft, but when faced with a fleet that is agile, resilient, and supported by pilots trained to exploit every advantage, technological superiority does not necessarily guarantee success. What unsettles Western defense circles most, according to the report, is how these tactics redefine the playing field. In simulated exercises and actual engagements, Pakistan's approach has shown that a carefully coordinated strike, the effective use of radar and missile systems, and the element of surprise can level the battlefield against adversaries flying technically superior machines. This introduces an uncomfortable truth. Wars are not won on paper, and capability does not exist in isolation from the doctrine that guides its use. The report underscores that Pakistan has recognized this reality and has chosen to focus not on chasing technological showpieces, but on building a strategy where tactics are elevated to the same level of importance as the aircraft themselves. In doing so, Pakistan has revealed a model of air power that is disruptive, sustainable, and deeply unsettling to those who once believed that money and machinery alone were enough to guarantee dominance. Future defense dilemmas are at the core of what makes the leaked Western report so significant, because it does not just describe Pakistan's growing air power in the present, but projects how this evolution could reshape the future landscape of aerial combat and security strategy. The report makes clear that Pakistan's progress forces Western defense establishments to confront uncomfortable questions about their own doctrines, procurement policies, and strategic assumptions. For decades, the prevailing mindset has been that smaller nations would always remain dependent on larger powers for advanced defense systems, but Pakistan's trajectory proves otherwise. By developing cost-effective yet modern fighters like the JF-17 and showing the ability to upgrade and adapt these platforms at speed, Pakistan demonstrates that innovation is no longer confined to the wealthiest militaries. The dilemma for the West lies in acknowledging that its traditional model of dominance, built on overwhelming budgets and cutting-edge technology, may no longer guarantee superiority in the decades ahead. The report emphasizes that future conflicts may be defined less by who has the most advanced jet on paper and more by who can adapt the fastest, integrate multiple systems seamlessly, and sustain operations over time without being economically crippled. Pakistan's advancement suggests that wars in the sky may increasingly resemble complex chess matches where unpredictability, alliances, and tactical creativity matter as much as raw technology. This challenges the very foundation of Western defense planning, which has long revolved around the belief that platforms like the F-35 represent the pinnacle of deterrence. If smaller nations can field fleets that are good enough to counter such jets when paired with innovative tactics, then the multi-billion-dollar investments of the West begin to look less like guarantees and more like vulnerabilities. Adding to this dilemma is the question of how other nations will respond after observing Pakistan's success. If Pakistan has been able to chart a path that challenges larger adversaries while working under budgetary and geopolitical constraints, what stops other countries from adopting similar strategies? This possibility haunts the pages of the report because it suggests a future where Western air dominance is not only contested by rival superpowers like China and Russia, but also by smaller states willing to innovate outside the traditional playbook. For Western defense planners, this raises profound questions. Do they double down on expensive technological projects that may no longer guarantee superiority, or do they rethink their doctrines entirely to account for a world where tactical innovation can neutralize trillion-dollar arsenals? The report leaves no easy answers, only the recognition that the future of air warfare will not resemble the past, and that Pakistan's rise is a warning as much as it is a revelation. The secret Western Defense Report on Pakistan's fighter jets is more than a document. It is a mirror reflecting a shift in the balance of power, a reminder that military dominance is no longer the sole property of the wealthiest nations with limitless budgets. It reveals how Pakistan, through ingenuity, tactical evolution, and strategic foresight, has transformed itself from a peripheral player into a force that commands global attention. The shockwaves of this revelation extend far beyond South Asia, forcing Western powers, allies, and adversaries alike to rethink doctrines, strategies, and even the definition of superiority in the skies. It shows that innovation and adaptability can stand against technological extravagance, that tactics can rival technology, and that the future of air warfare will belong not to those who spend the most, but to those who think the sharpest. What began as a secret has now become a warning, and what the West once dismissed as improbable now stands as undeniable proof that the skies are changing and the world must change with them.